Yes, they can, because the work I did with the reindeer herders, I lived with them in the wintertime and then summertime. And so I was analyzing site formation processes involved with what they're doing on a daily basis, both in the winter and then in the summer. And so it allows us to get a better understanding of what happens on top of the snow, because in the Arctic there's snow, and it's 6 to 7 months of snow. So how are people living? And as an archaeologist, you never get to see that. So I had the privilege to work with the reindeer herders in the 90s to examine the processes and what they did on a daily basis. And then left and then came back and looked at what they did in the summertime. And so as an archaeologist, it opened up it provided a window into understanding the different seasonalities of how sites are created by living people, which we would never see in the archaeological record, because when you're digging dirt. You're not looking at winter. You're not looking at, oh wait, there was layers of snow and they formed these sites on top of the snow and then it melted and came down. So yes, it really does help archaeology better understand seasonalities. I would assume that in the past, people we were living year round, and in the wintertime, they have to do things on top of the snow. And so why can't we start to use this as an example to say, okay, we don't know what really happened, but here's an example of people living today on top of the snow using, just thriving. What examples can we take from this research to say, okay, how do we know whether it was a winter campsite or a summer campsite? Were they migratory? Were they completely sedentary? And so it starts to ask more questions and gives us another idea of, gives us more ideas and more questions to ask, but also examples to think about seasonality. Well, we don't know. I mean, unless we have really good evidence of animals being domesticated. For example, the reindeer, and in the Paleolithic time, if you can find evidence that they had animals that they were actually using year-round, then yes, we can show that they were herders as well. Herding starts, 17,000 years ago. And so, it wouldn't be a surprise to have it in Europe. Is there a way to know? Yes, you can look at the changes in animal sizes. When you look at domesticated reindeer, for example, they're a little bit smaller than the undomesticated reindeer. And so that's one example. You can look at, I think, the number of animals you have in their sites. Are they one specific animal? And then is there a variation? Is it consistent throughout the year? Is it winter to summer, summer to winter? So yeah, there's a lot of things you can look at to see if there is pastoral or herding. But I mean, there's a lot more questions we need to be asking and thinking about. Yes, they were very welcoming. When I went there, originally I was only supposed to spend a week, because they have a lot of people come in and they're like, okay, great, but we don't know if they can handle this, and also we don't know if we want to have to take care of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So when I went, the brigadier Andre welcomed me, and then I didn't leave for another 3 months. And then I had to get my visa, and I came back, and then I left a year later, and he's like, you're only supposed to spend a week. So I would think that they were very welcoming. They were curious for a while, but then they're just like, oh, that's just Sava. He's taking pictures and drawing and writing and notes, and they were tolerant, I guess I put it that way. I don't know. Let's see. The only person that actually really took real good interest was the leader, the president of the collective farm, because he was interested in seeing what kind of results and also what they can utilize for their own understanding of their history. I would say as an American, but as just a person who lives not in that kind of lifestyle, we're spoiled. They're from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they're working. They have no time for a leisure like we do. But at the same time, it made me respect indigenous cultures even more. And then also, I learned how to understand the importance of understanding your own culture. And I took that knowledge back to where I lived and worked in my tribe to promote language, promote traditional culture, promote awareness of and the uniqueness of all our cultures and the beauty of each culture. And the other thing is the importance of us celebrating the differences, not saying, oh, it's a bad thing, actually celebrating because it makes our world that much more beautiful.